Friends, the next number I'd like to do for you is, well, we sort of have a little debate, as you'll notice, all fiddlers. A lot of them are braggers, and some of them have their own tales, and when you go to a fiddling contest, a lot of times in the country, it's awful hard to beat the hometown boys because, well, everybody, knows them. And so therefore, one night at a party in Hillside, Maryland, Chubby Wise and myself, we got together, and we wrote a song called the Lee Highway Blues originally. And, well, they had a great many other versions of this song. It was taken from about 4 or 5 different fiddle tunes. And it's covered up so well, it's hid. You can't hardly tell it too much. But then I wasn't recording at the time, so they had this fiddling contest, and I was very fortunate, with the help of Chubby Wise, teach me to play the fiddle, and my grandfather and my great-grandfather, that I was fortunate enough to come up with this particular song that Chubby Wise thought more of than nothing. So when I was fortunate enough to win this contest with it, then Buck Ryan, he was on a recording label, then he recorded the song under the name of the Lee Highway Swing, which he stole from Chubby Wise and myself. And so Chubby Wise, he was with a recording company. He said, "That's all right, boy, we'll get even with him." So he went ahead and he recorded it under the Opera Fiddler's Blues. So then I got a chance to record it, so I thought I'd get even with both of them. I recorded it under the name of the Talking Fiddle Blues, just a little bit different version of it. And I'd like to do it for you right now, the way that I wrote it myself with the help of Chubby Wise. Friends, we're going to take a ride on the old Lee Highway. We're going to start off with an old fella pulling into the highway with a big load of logs on his old truck. As he tries to get started, he makes a little grinding noise shifting gears. It sounds something like this. Then the fellow blows his horn for him to get out of the way. Further down the road, he hits old hound dog in the rear end as he runs through the woods, makes a little noise, sounds something like this. Further down the road, there's an old fellow walking along, and a hot rod come by him so daggone fast, he almost tore his coattail off. Here's a little bit of the noise he made as he honked his horn and blew out of sight. Shouldn't have done that now because the police is after him. Racing on the highway.
Several things. On a workshop, you're supposed to give some idea of how to play, and it seems to me that the fiddlers have been good enough on this workshop so that we haven't given too much of an idea how to play. To me, it's the most difficult of the instruments to teach. It's just a little bit easier than the voice because it's outside and you take a look at it. But there's a lot of feeling in it. It's something. But how would you tell somebody to learn? Do you think?
Learn to play.
Start learning, yeah.
Well, I'd say the best thing to do is to buy yourself an old cheap fiddle. So if you don't learn, you haven't lost anything. It's a lot of fun anyway, a lot of recreation. Then you start off, you play a song that you know real well, so you won't mess up on it. Therefore, you know you'll be playing the right song. And you'll find it'll be very difficult when you first start because, of course, you have no frets. And the bowing, it seems like it wants to get away from you. First, you're bowing and your notes don't want to seem to get together, but that'll come to you eventually. And you go from one to the other, and then the more you want to play and whatever you really want to do deep inside, you're going to do. And the more you want to do it, if you want to do it more than the other fellow does, well, that's how come you'll learn to beat him quicker because he don't quite want to learn to play as bad as you do. And you'll find if you get your old fiddle around the house and you keep it around there, as time goes by, you'll be playing some kind of song.
How did you learn, or about when? And
well, I was 12 years old, and I was in Galax, Virginia. I went up there to take care of my grandfather. If he was alive today, he would be 96 years old. And I've been playing a banjo up until that time, the 4-string plectrum banjo, which I always did like a 5-string banjo, but I never could accomplish too much on the 5-string banjo because we had no 5-string banjo. We had a long neck plectrum 4-string banjo, which in the event I clobbered with a straight pick. And then when I was 12 years old, I went up to my grandfather's brother, and I was taking care of him when he had his neck fractured. He was all in a sling in a bed and he couldn't get up. I didn't have nothing to do and just a young kid. There was no neighbors around close for miles, and the snow coming in on all them mountains from all the hills. And I turned the radio on, and my granddad was still in bed. And I heard Bill Monroe and the Bluegrass Boys come in with footprints and snow, and I said, I'm going to play a fiddle. And the doctor said that it was dangerous for my grandfather to even be moved, but I propped him up in a bed with pillows. He showed me a play.
well, as far as holding the fiddle and holding the bow, can you remember from when you were learning to play, which wasn't more than about 15, 20 years ago, how people would start to, how they'd start to learn?
Well, the best idea is to pal around with somebody that's already playing the fiddle. You steal their fiddle bows and you get the jump on them. You take what they've taken them 30 and 40 years to learn, you steal in maybe 2 or 3 years, and then you improve over what he's done, and that's the way it's done. Because
just watch and listen.
Just watch and listen, and get him to show you a few things about the fiddle and the bow licks, and it'll come a whole lot easier. You could go on indefinite by yourself with no idea of playing the fiddle. You could go on an indefinite period of time and still end up with nothing. But if you learn the bow licks and how to put them together, you'll find that you can take one song. If you can play one song good, you can play anything.
Well, look, we've gone pretty much from real old-time fiddling to medium old-time fiddling to breakdown fiddling to what I consider bluegrass fiddling, I guess. We would call it that, or would you, Scott?
Yes.
It's Scott Stoneman, really. That's more than bluegrass, really.
This gentleman here, he gave us a real good demonstration on Pretty Polly on bluegrass fiddling, because bluegrass fiddling is something's in your bones. It's something you feel. It's bluesy, which if you take notice, he was hitting all kinds of blue notes.
Yeah, blues.
I requested him to play that song today, so just for that purpose.
So I hope that we have covered that subject in the past hour. We'd like to, if there are some questions, and then we'd like to go on to a short session on mandolin. We're supposed to be covering both here, so maybe if you all would like to address any questions to the fiddlers here, and Dick Green is also here. If anybody would like to, he's supposed to be up on the stage here, but there's not quite room for all of us. If you all would like to address questions to any of us, do so. Bernie.